anybody using unlawful weapon, violence to intimidate the electorate, the president will never support such causes.
Edo election must be free, fair and violent-free, President Buhari tells former APC National Chairman Oshomole. Election Petition Tribunal annuls Bayelsa governorship election, directs INEC to conduct fresh elections within 90 days.
If the committee is in doubt of the quality of work, we'll be glad if you appoint a supervising engineering company that can come and find out that it's part of oversight function, Mr. Speaker.
And Speaker Wajabiamila wades in to douse tension as House Committee engages Transportation Minister. It's nice to be here Monday night. I am Colonel Ima Abodike on the news. We hope you are enjoying the weather and observing all the safety protocols. Tonight, Adeola Komia Kere will be reading from Lagos and Maria Madura from Jos. Welcome. President Muhammadu Buhari is insisting that the forthcoming governorship election in Edo State must not only be free and fair, but also devoid of violence. This was while granting audience to the former national chairman of the APC and member of the party's campaign council for the election, Mr. Adams Oshomole. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
I am a loyal member of the All Progressive Congress, and I will always do everything I can to support the growth and development of the party, and of course my absolute loyalty to the president as a person and to the government that he leads.
This is the first formal engagement between President Muhammadu Buhari and Mr. Adams Oshomole since his removal as chairman of the governing party on the 25th of June this year. Discussions at the closed-door meeting, also attended by the Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, centered on the ongoing electioneering ahead of the forthcoming Edo governorship election.
The campaigns are going well. The level of massive support is huge, and from my evaluation, share with him, I'm very confident that we will win the election hands down. There's no question about that, because Edo is basically APC state.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who expressed satisfaction with a show of support for the candidate of the governing party, however, maintains that acts of lawlessness before, during, and after the election will not be condoned.
His attitude is always clear, that Nigeria electorate, their right must always be respected. And anybody using unlawful weapon, violence to intimidate the electorate, the president will never support such causes. The message is clear. If APC man commit an offense, arrest him. If a PDP man commit an offense, arrest him.
Edo State governorship election takes place on the 19th of next month. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Still talking politics, the Imo State Governor, Hope Uzodinma, has stressed the need for unity of purpose among stakeholders of the APC and the state to ensure they produce a credible candidate in the forthcoming by-election for the Okigwe Senatorial District. He made this known at the first APC caucus meeting in Owerri. Bright Ebochur was there.
The expanded Imo State APC caucus meeting is the first to be held since Governor Hope Uzodinma was sworn in as Governor of Imo State in January this year. Following the release of timetable for the conduct of by-elections by INEC, slated for October this year, the meeting focused on filling the vacant position in Okigwe Senatorial District, created by the death of Senator Benjamin Uwajumogu, among other issues. Governor Hope Uzodinma, while addressing the people, urged members from the zone to adopt a consensus candidate who will represent the interests of the state.
We can show political maturity as a people. We can go home and do a consensus and bring out one acceptable candidate. And all of us will support the person we might.
The Imo State APC chairman, Marcelino Sulemebo, emphasizes the need for members to work towards strengthening the party in the state.
It is important for all of us to rally around and mobilize all necessary support and solidarity for the success of APC-led administration of His Excellency, distinguished Senator Hope Uzodinma.
The meeting was attended by stakeholders of the APC from Imo State, including the Minister of State for Education, Emeka Nwajuba, and other federal and state lawmakers. In Owerri, Bright Ebuchu, NTA News.
The Bayelsa State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Abuja has nullified the election of Doyle Diri as Governor of Bayelsa State. The tribunal also ordered INEC to conduct fresh election within 90 days. The election was nullified based on a petition filed by the Advanced Nigerian Democratic Party for its unlawful exclusion from participating in the November 2019 governorship election. In a split judgment of 2-1, the three-man panel ruled that INEC did not have the power to disqualify any candidate for an election, while the chairman of the panel, Muhammad Ibrahim Surajo, held that the ANDP did not have proper nomination of candidate for last year's election by presenting an underaged candidate.
A well-delivered judgment, and in my years of practice, this is a well-considered judgment. It's important to know that that judgment is not the type of judgment that removes a governor from office, because as it is, the governor remains in office until all the appeals to the Court of Appeal and to the Supreme Court are all exhausted.
The tribunal also dismissed the petition of a court party for lacking in merit because the party failed to prove the allegation of forgery of the certificates of the deputy governor. In all, the tribunal dismissed 4 petitions out of 5 received for adjudication and nullified the election based on the 5th petition. Doyle Diri emerged governor following the Supreme Court judgment which nullified the election of David Leon of the APC less than 24 hours to his swearing in as governor of Bayelsa State due to discrepancies in the names of his running mate. In the meantime, the governor of Bayelsa State, Doyle Diri, says he will appeal Monday's ruling of the state election petition tribunal sitting in Abuja. He says he has instructed his lawyers to file the necessary papers. Speaking shortly after the tribunal ruled that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, wrongly excluded the Advanced Nigeria Democratic Party, ANDP, governorship candidate in the November 16, 2019 election, Diri expressed implicit confidence in the judiciary and the hope that he would triumph in the end. The governor urges members of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and their supporters not to panic and to continue to remain calm and law-abiding. Now, away from politics, as a way of accommodating new correctional measures introduced into the nation's criminal justice system, new sentencing guidelines are being put together by the Federal Ministry of Justice and the Presidential Committee on Decongestion and Reform of Correctional Centers. Justice Minister Abubakar Malami says the new guidelines will consolidate both custodial and non-custodial provisions. Femi Okewo tells us more.
Nigerian courts have never been left unguided as to how to sentence offenders in our nation's criminal justice system. Whether these sentencing are uniformly applied or not is another issue entirely. But while this issue is being battled with, there are other laws emerging that also need equal sentencing guidelines, such as the Correctional Services Act of Nigeria, which just emerged last year. In addition to the custodial measures the courts have been used to, there are now non-custodial measures which the Presidential Committee on Correctional Service Reform has been working on. For every federal government intervention in our justice system, the FCT High Court is the first platform. So, the new sentencing guidelines is expected to come along with a practice direction by the Chief Judge of the FCT High Court, Justice Ishak Bello.
The existing Federal Capital Territory Courts Sentencing Guidelines Practice Direction 2016 did not make adequate provision for non-custodial measures and requires immediate review to address existing gaps.
To help scrutinize, review, and ratify the guidelines, a virtual interactive session was held for all the organizations involved, where the Attorney General of the Federation spoke of the need to avoid disparity in sentencing from one judicial officer to the other.
The objective of the proposed consolidated sentencing guidelines are as follows. Set out the requirements and procedure for imposing custodial and non-custodial sentences for the purpose of preventing abuse and ensuring reasonable uniformity and fairness in the imposition of sentences.
It is hoped that the consolidated sentencing guideline will be ready by September. In Abuja, Femi Okeowu, NTA News.
Talking economy, experts have described the birthing of the biggest girl's masculine on the eastern port as a blessing that will promote regional integration, revenue generation, job creation, and boost the nation's economy. Osenachi Abraham has details.
The One Port, situated in Eleme, River State, is a multi-purpose cargo port involved in multiple operations such as general bulk and containerized cargoes, as well as other logistics services. It is one of the largest oil and gas free zones in the world, supporting exploration in production, onshore and offshore logistics, with easy access to the entire West Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa. The port covers an area of 2,538.111 hectares and has one of the biggest harbor mobile cranes in Africa. The vessel MV, with length of 300 meters and 48 meters, which berthed at One Terminal, is said to be the biggest container ship to ever call at the Nigerian port. A feat, experts say, is an indication that the eastern ports are equipped to receive all kinds of vessels, and federal government's determination to ensure all ports in Nigeria are working optimally.
River State is a federal ocean terminal where it arrived, that is One, is a very big water. It has the capacity to carry any tonnage of vessel coming into the country.
So if we begin to have this kind of ships that come over here, to berth, one is going to lead to great employment for the people.
A statement signed by a spokesman of the Nigerian Ports Authority, Jato Adams, the vessel has a capacity of 9.971 20-foot equivalent unit, a flagship from Singapore. The berthing of the vessels, experts say, opens a new vista for economic growth of the nation. In Port Harcourt, Osinachi Abraham, NTA News.
Nigeria must seek an ECOWAS solution to the recurring harassment of Nigerian traders in Ghana. Minister of Foreign Affairs Jeffrey Onyama, at a meeting with representatives of Nigerian traders in Ghana, says the ECOWAS's move will help resolve areas where the Ghanaian trade code are in conflict with the relevant ECOWAS protocols. Calvin Ebonaye reports.
The minister is worried that after the intervention in 2018, the issue has reoccurred, saying even though member countries reserve the right to regulate business processes in their respective countries, such regulations should not outrightly contravene the relevant ECOWAS protocols. He warned that the principle of reciprocity may not be ruled out if efforts to nip the problem in the bud fails.
First steps we want to take is to be sure about all the facts, to have all the facts before we act. So this will entail hearing from the Ghanaian government, the Minister of Trade. Our Minister of Trade is going to engage with his counterpart. We have summoned the Ghanaian High Commissioner, who has given us information. We have the intention of recalling our chargé d'affaires in Ghana for consultations.
For the Nigerian traders, a timely intervention is imperative before the crisis gets out of hands, as more Nigerian shops in other regions outside Accra are being targeted by the Ghanaian task force.
It is shocking that in Ghana now, Nigerians in Ghana are not given such equal opportunity under the same protocol of ECOWAS, and this is very instructive for our government.
At the moment, the minister assured the traders of the commitment of the Ghanaian government to halt the closing of Nigerian shops to allow for consultations. In Abuja, Kelvin Ewonwaye, NTA News.
Now, the Auditor General of the Federation, Mr. Anthony Anyine, has set the record straight on the alleged withdrawal of 10 billion naira from the account of National Health Insurance Scheme by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo in connivance with the Auditor General, Anthony Anyine. Ruth Aguele has details.
In a statement, the Auditor General for the Federation described the allegation by one Ikenga, Imo Ugochinyere, as not only illogical, highly embarrassing, scandalous, frivolous, and unreasonable. The connivance allegation, he says, is targeted at denigrating the office of the Vice President as well as tarnish and discredit his own reputation. The Vice President and the Auditor General for the Federation were alleged by Ugochinyere to have connived and withdrew from the NHIS account a total of 10 billion naira, with the forced withdrawal of 5 billion naira, allegedly made in December 2016. Mr. Anyine enumerated the roles and responsibilities of the Auditor General Office as enshrined in the 1999 Constitution, even as he was only appointed in January 2017 and could not have withdrawn any money in December 2016 as claimed. The Auditor General for the Federation says he has never been a board member or an officer of the NHIS, nor been a signatory to any bank accounts operated by the NHIS. Mr. Anyine further explained that the Constitution did not give the Auditor General any powers or rights to authorize withdrawal or any money or monies in accounts of any MDA whatsoever, just as he does not have direct reporting relationship with the Vice President. He assures the public of the integrity of the Office of the Auditor General for the Federation, which has been applauded both nationally and internationally, and advised the general public to completely ignore and disregard the libellous publication in its entirety as a mere fiction of the imagination of the authors and not for public good or interest.
The Nigeria Incentives-Based Risk-Sharing System for Agricultural Lending, NASAL, has deployed the Agro-Gel Cooperatives model to support the northeast economy of the nation ravaged by insecurity. At the launch of the model in Biu, Borno State, Managing Director of NASAL, Aliyu Abdulhamid, said the institution is supporting the 2020 wet season farming operation of 2,987 maize farmers under the CBN Anchor Borrowers Program.
Northeast Nigeria has been the epicenter of security upheavals in recent times that has eaten deep into the economic fabrics of the region. The situation this year is further worsened by the coronavirus pandemic, which crippled economic activities around the globe. As government continues to ease the lockdown, economic activities are picking up. The occasion here is the late launch of the NISAL Agro Geo Cooperative exercise right at the palace of the Emir of Biu in Borno State. NISAL's Managing Director, Aliyu Abdulhamid, says in the Northeast alone, 19,943 farmers belonging to 70 geo cooperatives are gaining support in farming 29,919 hectares of land.
They don't pay back this loan and the thing is government free. Okay, you can eat it now and we will pursue you and make sure you pay and you will not enter the books of central bank for loan again.
Sustainable economic development, he says, cannot be achieved without rural transformation and empowerment of the dwellers. The inputs being deployed are crucial for sufficiency in maize production. The maize farmers are positive they will fill the gap between maize importation and local production.
I urge you and pray that the MD of NISAL and the Governor of Central Bank will, for henceforth, release some of these inputs for us on time for us to be able to cultivate.
I assure you that this government is ever committed to the welfare and security of our people.
Over 104,000 agro-geo cooperatives have signed up for the NISAL Agro-Geo Cooperatives Initiative, which is a system of primary production that invites farm neighbors into a joining 250 hectares partnership for large-scale production and access to solutions. The process is through the Anchor Borrowers Program, which has reached over 1 million farmers.
This is Network News. More reports after the break. Welcome back as we head to the National Assembly, where the Speaker, House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has appealed for understanding on the part of government officials when invited by National Assembly committees. The Speaker made a call as the meeting between the Committee on Treaties, Protocols and Agreements and the Minister of Transport, Rotimi Amechi, turned into a rowdy session and immediately called for a 30-minute break. The minister had accused the chairman of the committee, Nicholas Osai, of bias in his pattern of questioning, saying the probe is politically motivated.
Nigerians are using the rail going to Kaduna from Abuja. Very soon in September, we'll begin to use the one from Lagos to Ibadan. If the committee is in doubt of the quality of work, we'll be glad if you appoint a supervising engineering company that can come and find out that it's part of oversight function, Mr. Speaker.
The House Committee on Treaties, Protocols and Agreements is investigating the status of loans and bilateral agreements, especially the $500 billion Chinese loan sought by the federal government for railway infrastructure development. After resumption from the break, the committee adjourned to Tuesday to enable MDAs produce documents relevant to the probe. The National President of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Reverend Olasopo Ayokunle, says sustained all-inclusive dialogue between aggrieved parties is the surest way out of the prolonged southern Kaduna crisis, rather than blame game among people with stake in the region. Muhammad Umar Ajingi reports that a religious leader led a high-powered delegation of members of the Supreme Body of the Christians for a talk with Governor Nasiru Ahmed El-Rufai.
A delegation on a mission in search for peace in the troubled southern Kaduna region engulfing conflict and bloodshed. At hand to receive the delegation are policymakers and conflict managers preoccupied with the mission of recovering the peace that eludes the people that were known for centuries of peaceful coexistence. Former Deputy Governor of the state, Barnabas Yusuf Bala, who hails from the troubled region, is in the meeting, and so is the current Deputy Governor Hadiza Balarabe, also a citizen of the region. Governor Nasiru Ahmed El-Rufai informs the CAN president and his entourage that, in spite of false narratives and baseless claims from some quarters, great achievements have been recorded in the collaborative efforts towards arresting the problem that had lingered for a while now.
Our immediate focus remains to stop the cycle of attacks and reprisals. We remain committed to ending the legacy of violence that has blighted the state for 40 years, needlessly taking many lives and curtail the life chances of many others.
President of the Christian Association of Nigeria is optimistic that the remedy to the crisis lies in sincerity, dialogue, forgiveness, and respect for human dignity, while spiritual operatives should resort to advanced technology in fishing the criminals from their hideouts.
We will dialogue also with the warring parties as much as possible, especially through the Nigerian Interreligious Council.
I am Muhammad Umar Ajingi, NTA News.
And in security, the Nigerian military says the Air Task Force of Operation Lafayette Dole has neutralized scores of terrorists and destroyed their hideouts and logistic structures at Tumbuma, Babar, and Boboshe in Borno State. A statement by the Directorate of Defense Media Operations indicates that this was achieved in airstrikes executed on 16 August 2020 on the first day of missions of a new subsidiary operation codenamed Hailstone. The attack at Tumbuma Baba, one of the island settlements on the fringes of the Lake Chad, was carried out after human intelligence reports indicated that several ISWAP fighters and some of the leaders were harbored in some structures in a concilious area. Nigerian Air Force fighter jets dispatched by the ATF to killing several of the terrorists and destroying their structures. Several terrorists were similarly neutralized at Boboshe, a village along the river line on the eastern part of the Sambisa forest. The Nigerian Air Force has deployed special forces to support the ongoing military intervention towards restoring normalcy to southern Kaduna. This follows the directive by the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar. Abdullahi Mohammed tells us more.
These special forces of the Nigerian Air Force are expected to join forces with other military personnel in southern Kaduna to secure the mandate of the Operation Safe Haven. The troops would also be supported with the air component of the Nigerian Air Force, which is also set to wing out shortly.
We have our Operation Thunder Strike, which is domiciled in Kaduna here, that takes care of the northwest axis. So definitely the air power is going to be originated from here, but we have an air component commander there as well who's going to coordinate the air power aspect.
Air Vice Marshal Musa Mukhtar told the troops to remain disciplined and respect human rights while discharging their duties. He urged the public to avail the troops meaningful information to succeed in their operation. In Kaduna, Abdullah Muhammad, NTA News.
The Nigerian military is moving to sustain the peace and tranquility that has been prevailing in Jigawa State by protecting it from remnants of insurgency, banditry, and kidnappings running away from sustained bombardments. To this end, the Chief of the Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, is on a working visit to the state. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa has more.
With more than 22,000 square kilometer landmass, Jigawa borders northeast states confronted by insurgency and northwest states fighting banditry and kidnappings. The state has, however, remained peaceful and secured. The Nigerian Army is moving to consolidate on that by building barracks to accommodate deployed battalion approved by the Nigerian Army 2016 Order of Battle. While on operational visit to units and formations under 3 Brigade, the Chief of Army Staff met with the State Governor, Muhammadu Badaru Abubakar.
Jigawa State is one of the frontline states, and it forms a buffer or a sort of blocking position which our troops have been operating here to prevent the insurgents from spreading to other parts of the country.
For us in Jigawa, we appreciate massively the effort of Nigerian Army in providing security in the country.
Lieutenant General Buratai equally paid courtesy visit to the Emir of Dutse, Nuhu Muhammadu Sanusi, to seek support of the traditional institution. From Dutse, the Jigawa state capital, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Now, President Muhammadu Buhari warmly felicitates with the former Deputy Chief of Staff in the Presidency, Olushola Akomode, on his 70th birthday, praying that the Almighty God will continue to bless and strengthen him with good health and prosperity. President Buhari joins family members, friends and political associates in celebrating with the former Secretary to Kogi State Government, who brought his wealth of experience, maturity and wisdom to serve in the presidency, leaving a legacy of integrity and kindness. The President believes that Prince Akomode's versatile experience as a distinguished public servant, his selfless and diligent spirit contributed significantly to the nation's infrastructure and human development. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has been speaking on the reintroduction of history into the curriculum of primary and secondary schools across the country by the federal government, explaining that the decision was in recognition of its contribution to the socio-political, economic and cultural development of Nigeria. The Vice President stated this at the inauguration of the Nigerian History Fund, dedicated to, among other things, supporting history students. A statement by Laolu Akonde, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity in the Office of the Vice President, quoted Vice President Osinbajo expressing importance of history in harnessing Nigeria's rich cultural diversity as a unique strength for promoting national development. He knows that understanding Nigeria's different cultural practices and social norms as embedded in history are paramount. The long-awaited 2020 SSCE examinations has commenced across the country and the FCT schools. Hadiza Godwin Ebune, who went around some schools, reports that the examination commenced under strict COVID-19 protocols.
Under strict COVID-19 protocols, students were checked before going into the examination halls for the 2020 Senior Secondary Certificate examinations. West Africa Examination Council Supervisor Nkiruka Amolu says this year's question papers are customized to enable proper identification of candidates.
You don't need to have a different answer sheet to a different question paper. Everything is customized now.
At about 10 a.m., the candidates had started slogging it out with the most dreaded subject, the general mathematics, which is the first paper on the 2020 SSCE timetable. The candidates say they cannot be more prepared as all stakeholders have come together to ensure their success.
I've read all this. It's normal. It's not that hard. It's easy.
The normal wire questions. The school has prepared us for all this.
If you actually studied and listened in class and listened to what your teacher said, you hopefully pass this exam.
Teachers, principals and head of schools say the 2 weeks resumption gave them ample time to mentally prepare the students for the examinations.
The government has also provided everything needed for the takeoff.
We've been doing face-to-face classes and all that, and I sincerely believe that with the little that we've been able to do over the time, plus what we have been doing for the past 3 years, from SS1 to now, I think they should be able to do well.
All stakeholders are optimistic of a successful outing of the 2020 SSCE amid COVID-19 pandemic. Hadiza Godwin Ebune, NTA News.
West African examination commences. Let's join Adeola in our Lagos Network Center for this and other stories. Hello, Adeola.
Kenny, good to see you. The long-awaited 2020 West African Senior School Certificate Examination has started, and candidates in Lagos are excited that they are part of the process against initial decision. Hengino John Adams tells us more.
This year's West African Senior School Certificate Examination is different from previous ones. Schools visited in Lagos operated in compliance with COVID-19 preventive protocols. Apart from the usual examination screening, candidates had to undergo another form of screening, and this must happen daily. The routine begins with the no face mask, no entry rule, temperature checks, hand washing, and social distancing.
We have our sanitizers points for them, but we also told them that each of them should bring handy sanitizer. In the course of writing the exam, also they should have a handy sanitizer that they will be using from time to time.
Everybody is not sitting as close as they used to be, no hugging.
The examination, which started with a core subject, mathematics, went on smoothly, but for a little delay at most of the centers.
Maybe due to logistics and protocols, it takes some time before they start the first paper.
Yeah, I expect nothing but success, because everybody here has been reading. Right from this morning when we came, everybody came early.
Stakeholders in the sector say they are working to ensure that the whole process is hitch-free. In Lagos, Hengino John Adams, NTA News.
Away from education now, South Korean multinational automotive manufacturer Hyundai Motors has donated personal protective equipment worth 35 million naira to Nigeria. The company made the presentation to the Lagos state government at the governor's house in Alausa to boost the fight against coronavirus in the country. Imolia Yotokede has the
The donation, which include 25,000 pieces of face masks and 2,000 pieces of protective suits, were contributed to assist the frontline medical workers and the public to help combat COVID-19. The CEO, Stallion Group, stated that the donation is part of the company's commitment to supporting those in need.
Hyundai is making this donation to
help the government fight the pandemic, which I think Nigeria is one of the most important countries in the world in terms of 200 million people, and if we don't fight it in the big like this, it can be a big problem, and I think Hyundai realizes it.
Special advisor to the Lagos State Governor on the SDGs and investments, Shalakwe Hammond, expressed gratitude over the donation and pledged judicious use of the items.
This is a wonderful philanthropic effort by Hyundai Motors and Stallion Group. They have been our partners. This is not the first contribution they're making, even in this pandemic, and we're very, very happy to call them partners in development.
Hyundai Motors Company in the past has donated medical equipment and personal protective items worth $2.4 million to countries across the Middle East and Africa in its efforts to help tackle the coronavirus pandemic. In Lagos, Imoli Ayotukede, NTA News.
And that's it from here. The news will continue after this break. To stay with us.
Welcome back. International flights into the country will resume from the 29th of August 2020, beginning with Lagos and Abuja airports. Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika announced the resumption at Monday's briefing by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 in Abuja. Metai Reyiben reports.
International flights will resume.
It was the news many Nigerians who are stranded abroad and could not make series of evacuation flights have been waiting for. Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika, however, makes it clear that international travelers must test negative for COVID-19 before departure abroad and will pay for another COVID-19 test to be conducted 1 week after arriving in the country.
All protocols exist. They will continue alongside the opening of these airports. In the beginning, there will be 4 flights into Lagos and 4 flights into Abuja daily. We'll give further details on that in due course. And to say that this is a decision taken by the PTF, there will also be a portal that will be open. Prior to your departure, you will pay through that platform. You pay through that platform for a test to be done here in Nigeria day 8 after your arrival. Meaning that just before you depart, you take a test, hopefully you are negative and you're not showing any signs of COVID, then we board you on the flight. You'd have filled online your health questionnaire, and then when you come, you arrive in Nigeria, go through all the protocols and you exit the airport. So the 8th day after your arrival, which we would have considered the incubation period, may God forbid you may show signs of COVID, and then you take a test at that time on the 8th day. So it is safe to fly if we observe all of those protocols in place.
In spite of low COVID-19 positivity rate in recent time, the PTF insists that Nigeria is fully in the phase of community transmission and will not lower its guard.
We have not attained the desired level that would enable us to make conclusive statements on the rate of infection in the country. We must therefore continue to do that which gives us a record improvements and desist from actions capable of undermining our successes.
It's important to know that for every single case we get positive, we are missing a lot more.
Nigerians are warned to avoid self-medication if they experience COVID-19 symptoms, but go immediately for testing and self-isolation. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
As the battle to curtail the spread of coronavirus pandemic continues, a concerned non-governmental organization, BUA Foundation International, has donated 5 ambulances and 100,000 face masks to the Akwa Ibom state government. Susan Asuko reports that Governor Udom Emmanuel, while receiving the items, says the face masks will be distributed to students and the ongoing exit classics across the state.
There is no gainsaying the fact that Akwa Ibom State Government has enjoyed the goodwill and support of corporate organizations since the outbreak of COVID-19. The goodwill and support have come in cash and kind. The latest support is the donation of 5 ambulances and 100,000 face masks by an international foundation. Receiving the donations, Governor Dom Emmanuel hinted that the state has recorded remarkable feats in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. He described the gesture by the foundation as a show of love and commitment to the corporate social responsibility of the foundation, noting that the face mask will be sent to schools for use by students of JSS 3 and SS3.
Thank you for the 100,000 face masks you provided. So, as I just earlier said inside, we move this to schools so that we can share this to students that have resumed, the SSS 3 and the JS3 students who have resumed.
Making the donations on behalf of the group, Alhaji Abdul Samad Rabiu commended the state government for being proactive in the fight against the pandemic, as evident in the declining number of cases recorded in the state. It should be recalled that 26 COVID-19 infected persons were recently treated and discharged by the state government. In Uyo, Susan Asukwo, NTA News.
The Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions is strategizing with the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, to reposition Nigeria's economy in the light of the devastating impact of COVID-19. Kenneth Nanim tells us more.
In a retreat organized in Kaduna, the Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions and Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation mainstreamed the role NDIC should play to help stabilize the economy. They resolved that NDIC should take lead in ramping up financial inclusion in the country, fast-track the regulation of financial technology companies, as well as ensure that adequate safeguards are put in place before loans are granted in order to protect customers' deposits. Even spread of microfinancial and mortgage banks across the country in order to provide equal opportunities for Nigerians to access the stimulus packages for micro, small and medium-scale enterprises also formed part of role NDIC should play to salvage the Nigerian economy in the post-COVID-19 era.
It's very necessary for all of us as the banking system, so by the regulatory authorities and the National Assembly to do everything possible to provide second and protection to our millions of depositors, especially the small depositors, so that they don't slip into more poverty and despondency. This retreat is therefore an opportunity for us to interact with NDIC, share our thoughts on the challenges of the Nigerian financial sector in this challenging period and how best to overcome them.
The Senate Committee also pledged to give NDIC all legislative support it requires to succeed in its strategic task of protecting depositors and guaranteeing payment of insured funds in the event of failure by insured institutions. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Umar Zulum has been conferred with Courage in Leadership Award by the management of Tel magazine. The presentation was made at a public presentation of a compendium tagged The First Verdict of published news reports, news analysis, commentaries and selected speeches, and 1 year of Governor Zulum in office as achievements recorded so far. Mohammed Goni reports that the occasion, which took place at the Government House, Maiduguri, was attended by dignitaries from all walks of life.
Management of the telecommunications was led by the president and editor-in-chief of the organization, Nosa Egibo, to present the awards to Governor Babagana Umara.
Since the assumption of office as governor by His Excellency, he has consistently demonstrated these sterling qualities of leadership. His style and substance are unmistakable.
Governor Babagana Umara Zulum thanked the management of telecommunications for finding him worthy of the award and the restated commitment to work towards improving the loss of the citizenry.
Nevertheless, this recognition poses another challenge to us not to disappoint. And inshallah, we will not disappoint the people of Borno State and indeed in Nigeria in general.
The governor who thanked the Government House press team for compiling the compendium also appreciated media auspice as well as working journalists in the state for their support and further reassured continued intervention in NTA and other media auspice in the state to improve their service delivery. Reviewer of the compendium, Professor Danjuma Gambo, said the 299-page publication contained news reports, analysis and commentaries in their original forms, which are further classified into 336 items of what the media reported. The university then recommended the compendium to researchers, administrators, and those who wish to study governance at the time of crisis. Information Commissioner Babakura Abuja and the editor-in-chief of the compendium, special advisor to the governor on public relations and the strategy, Isa Umar Gusau, said, Governor Zulum has done a lot in 1 year, which necessitated compilation of the compendium dedicated to the memory of the late chief of staff, Dr. Babagana Wakil. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Koni, NTA News.
Mariam is standing by in Jos with some reports.
Hello, good evening. It's good to have you join us. Candidates for the 2020 West African School Certificate examinations in Plateau State have successfully commenced the examinations in strict compliance with COVID-19 safety protocols. Saadatu Mohammed Kafa reports.
Uniformed arrangements and smooth take-off examinations featured across major centers in Jos and other parts of the state, with mathematics as the pilot paper. Hundreds of students sat for the examination under strict adherence to the COVID-19 safety protocols, such as compulsory use of face masks, hand sanitizers, and hand-washing containers. Students were also properly spread in classes to avoid close contacts and promote an acceptable norms of managing the pandemic in line with guidelines for reopening of schools.
We have shared them now into three arms to be able to observe the COVID-19 guidelines.
We ensure that each student has a hand sanitizer.
We thank the student for complying with the COVID-19 safety measure put in place.
The situation is the same at rural areas as Commissioner of Education undertakes visits to some schools to monitor the level of compliance.
Everybody is happy and we are quite impressed with the turnout of students for the exams.
The expectation of key players in the education sector is for the situation to improve in the days ahead. In Jos, Saadat Muhammad Kafa, NTA News.
Cheering news for intending Christian pilgrims for the 2020-2021 Christian pilgrimage to the Holy Land. As a vista of hope for the holy journey rises towards the end of the year if the COVID-19 curve is flattened. Executive Secretary, Nigerian Christian Pilgrims Commission, Reverend Yakubu Pam, disclosed this during a zonal interaction with State Christian Pilgrims Board's leaders in Jos. Mary Domtur has that.
This meeting is at the instance of the Executive Secretary, Nigeria Christian Pilgrims Commission, with key players from the northern states to strategize on the way forward for the Commission and to strengthen relationships between state Christian welfare boards.
Just like the airlines have been open now locally, most countries are also opening their own internationally. So we hope between now and December that the situation must have been handled properly, and we're already making preparation for pilgrimage at the end of the year. However, if there's any changes, definitely we have to dance according to the situation on ground.
Some participants speak on the interaction.
Things are not always the same with the COVID-19. We hope that things will change because right now we have not even completed even those who we prepared them for last.
Women have been participating actively in holy pilgrimage in Benue State.
The Nigeria Christian Pilgrim Commission is saddled with the responsibility of providing a conducive environment for smooth airlifting of Christian pilgrims and their welfare. In Jos, Mary Domtur, NTA News.
The news continues right after this break. Stay with us.
President Muhammadu Buhari has sent his condolences to the family of Major General Samaila Iliya, a distinguished military officer who served the country meritoriously before retirement. The president commiserated with the armed forces, friends and associates of the officer who made his mark in various leadership roles in the army. President Buhari prays that the Almighty God will receive the soul of the departed and comfort his family. And that's Network News Tonight. Thank you for watching. My name is Kenan Ima Abodike. Good night.